They realized something changed when you stopped chasing. Something shifted the moment you stopped trying to hold everything together by yourself. This is not a random moment that brought you here tonight. This message found you because something inside you has transformed. Not because they changed first, but because you did. You are not the same person who was waiting, wondering, and searching for answers. Your energy is different now, and somehow they can feel it. The silence you created is speaking louder than all the words you once tried to say. What they feel for you is deeper than simple admiration, deeper than familiarity, deeper than a comfortable memory. It is a feeling they cannot easily explain. A feeling that does not follow pride, timing, or logic. They believed they could leave and eventually forget. They believed distance would make everything disappear. But they discovered something unexpected. Walking away did not erase the connection. It only made them notice the space where you used to be. You did not create this bond because you were lonely. You did not imagine every moment, every conversation, every feeling that existed between you. Something real was there, something meaningful. And every step of that journey was witnessed by the universe. Every moment had a purpose, every lesson had a reason. What is truly meant to transform you cannot simply vanish because of one decision or one difficult season. Something became peaceful inside you. Something stopped fighting. And that was the exact moment everything started to feel different. When you stopped reaching for them, when you stopped begging for attention, when you brought your focus back to yourself, they felt the change. It was like a familiar light slowly becoming distant, like a room that once felt warm suddenly becoming quiet, and that feeling caught their attention. Put your hand over your heart for a moment. Feel that quiet strength inside you. Feel the life, the warmth, and the peace that you have rebuilt. That is real. That is the same presence they remember when something unexpectedly reminds them of you. And the truth is, reminders can appear anywhere. A song, a place, a memory, a simple moment that brings your energy back into their thoughts. You were never too much. You were never a burden. You were never something they needed to escape from. You were someone genuine standing in front of them, and they did not know how to fully appreciate what they had. The universe saw every part of your journey. It saw the moments when you gave love and they created distance. It saw the times you stayed patient when your heart was tired. It saw the nights when you carried emotions that were difficult to explain to anyone else. It saw every silent battle, every tear you hid, every moment you chose kindness instead of anger. And now something is different. You are no longer searching for someone to complete you. You are standing in your own strength. You are returning to yourself. And that change is powerful. Sometimes the moment you release the need to be chosen is the moment others finally understand your value. Stay with this message because what happens after you choose yourself is where the biggest transformation begins. You have always been noticed. You have always mattered. The universe wants you to understand this tonight. Something is happening beyond the silence you can see. Something is moving on the other side of their distance. There are feelings they have not expressed, thoughts they may not even fully understand yet. But the universe sees the entire picture. Stay with this message, because later I will reveal what their actions, their pauses, and their hidden tests may actually mean. What you are about to understand can completely change the way you see their silence. Write, "I stopped chasing" in the comments right now. Those words are not about them. They are about your own transformation. They represent the moment you chose yourself, your peace, and your own strength. The universe sees every person who writes those words tonight, and it understands the journey that brought them here. Welcome to this moment. If this message reached you for the first time, subscribe and turn on notifications because something brought you here for a reason. Do not allow this to be the only message you receive. What they feel for you goes deeper than simple interest. This is not just uncertainty. This is not just confusion. Real feelings create reactions that people cannot always control. Admiration does not keep someone awake in the middle of the night. A simple habit does not make someone pause when they see your name appear on their screen. Something deeper is happening inside them, something they are trying to understand. Feelings like this do not always disappear when people walk away. Sometimes they become quieter. Sometimes they hide beneath pride, fear, and distance. Sometimes they search for another way to be felt. And when honest words feel too risky, people often communicate through actions instead. They realized something was different about you. Not because you disappeared physically, but because your energy changed. They reached out in the same familiar way, expecting the same response, expecting the same warmth, expecting you to still be waiting. But something had shifted. You answered with kindness, but you were no longer trying to prove your worth. You were present, but you were not desperate for their attention. You cared, but you were no longer losing yourself in the process. And they noticed that difference immediately. Something inside them recognized the change before they could explain it with their thoughts. Instead of openly expressing what they truly felt, instead of admitting what was happening in their heart, they reacted the way many fearful people react. They tested the connection. They looked for signs. They searched for reassurance without directly asking for it. The universe has been watching this entire journey unfold. It sees the emotions they hide. It sees the difference between what they show the world and what they carry inside. It sees the distance between their actions and their feelings. And this message reached you because it is time to understand what may really be happening, not just what appears on the surface. There is always more beneath the silence. There is always more behind the things people do not say. Their own thoughts have started confronting them. During the day, they can stay distracted. They can fill their schedule. They can convince themselves everything is normal. They can tell themselves they are completely fine and that they have moved forward. But when the world becomes quiet, emotions become harder to ignore. In those private moments, memories return. They imagine conversations that never happened. They remember your smile, your voice, the little moments that felt ordinary but became unforgettable. They see you in their dreams, in places created by their own mind, where everything feels real for a moment. They see you sitting across from them, peaceful and calm. They hear your laughter. They feel the comfort of your presence. And what affects them the most is not your sadness or your pain, it is your peace. In those moments, you are not chasing them. You are not asking them to choose you. You are simply existing as your complete self. And that version of you creates a feeling they cannot easily escape. They wake up from those dreams and for a few seconds, everything feels close again. The distance feels gone. The walls feel weaker. There is only the memory of connection. Then reality returns, the silence returns, and they are left facing emotions they cannot easily explain. A feeling sits heavily in their chest, something they cannot name and cannot ignore. Their emotions reveal what their words try to hide. Their body often reacts before their mind has a chance to create an explanation. A sudden feeling when something reminds them of you, a change in their mood when they realize your silence has continued longer than before, a quiet warmth when a song plays that connects them to a memory of you. Small moments reveal what people try to hide. Their breathing changes, their attention shifts, their reactions become different. Even when their expression stays calm, something inside responds. When someone mentions your name, they notice it instantly. Their focus changes for a moment. A memory appears, a feeling rises. Then they try to push it away and return to normal. But some emotions are difficult to silence. The body carries memories. The heart remembers experiences that the mind tries to organize. They have been receiving these reminders for longer than they want to admit. They look at your profile. They notice your updates. They see your pictures, your words, your life continuing without them. They notice that you are smiling. They notice that you are growing. They notice that you are moving forward. They scroll for a while, put the phone away, and then return again. They check if you notice them. They post something, hoping you might see it. They wait for a reaction. They look again. They notice that you viewed it. They notice that you did not respond. And in that silence, they begin to understand something important. The person who was always reaching is no longer standing in the same place. They notice you continued living without stopping for them. They notice you kept moving even when they expected you to remain in the same place. They open the conversation. They type your name. They erase it. They write the beginning of a message, then hesitate. They close the app. A few minutes later, they open it again. They create a simple message, something casual, something safe, something that could look meaningless or could carry a deeper meaning depending on how you answer. They send it. Then they wait. Not only for a reply, but for a feeling, for a sign that the connection is still alive, for the same warmth they used to feel when your name appeared on their screen, for the version of you that once rushed toward them without hesitation. Write, they noticed in the comments because they did notice. The moment your energy changed, the moment you stopped trying to convince them, the moment you brought your attention back to yourself, something became different, and the universe understands what that realization meant for them. What they feel is not simply curiosity. It is not only a memory or attachment to an idea. It is the impact of someone who touched a part of them in a way they did not expect. They connected with something genuine in you, something they could not easily replace. And even though they have tried to ignore it, the feeling remains. They wake up and it is still there. They move through their day and it returns. They distract themselves, but the emotion finds its way back. Touch the inside of your wrist for a moment. Feel your heartbeat. Notice that steady rhythm. It has continued through every quiet moment, every unanswered question, and every night when you wondered if the connection meant anything at all. Your heartbeat never stopped because of uncertainty. Your strength never disappeared because someone became distant, and the feelings that existed between two people do not always vanish simply because there is silence. Some connections leave a mark that remains. The universe sees the moments when they lie awake thinking about things they cannot explain. It sees the memories that return when everything becomes quiet. It sees the emotions they hide behind their actions. And this message reached you because you are ready to understand something deeper about their behavior. If they could speak right now without pride, without fear, without the walls they created around their emotions, this is what they might say. I noticed the moment you became different. I did not expect it. I became comfortable knowing you were always there. I became familiar with your kindness, your attention, and the way you showed up for me. I did not realize how much I depended on that until it changed. When your energy shifted, something I had been avoiding suddenly became impossible to ignore. I did not know how to express what I felt. I have always struggled with saying the things that matter the most, so instead of being honest, I reacted from fear. I tested the situation. I know it was not the best way. I understand that. But part of me needed to know if you still cared. I wanted to know if the connection was still there beneath the silence. I wanted reassurance without having to admit that I needed it. I told myself that if you responded in a certain way, I would have my answer. I would know if I still mattered to you. The truth is, I think about you more than I expected. I never planned for this. I never thought I would still be carrying these feelings. I tried to move forward. I filled my days with distractions. I surrounded myself with noise so I would not have to sit with my thoughts. But none of it changed the truth. You are still part of my story. You have been there in my memories all along. I remember the way you reached out to me. I remember the feeling of being understood. I remember the way you said my name with genuine care. I remember how you listened, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly being present. I remember the moments when everything between us felt easy. I remember who we were before fear and confusion made things complicated. I remember the last time I looked at you without all the distance between us. I remember small details I never told anyone. I remember what you wore. I remember what you said. I remember the words I should have spoken but kept inside. I remember more than I have ever admitted, even to myself. I convinced myself I was okay. I told myself you were only a chapter that would eventually close. I believed time would erase everything. I thought you would slowly become a distant memory, but I was wrong. I am still carrying this chapter. I still do not know how to finish it, and now your silence feels different. I do not know how to respond to a version of you that no longer chases me. I keep searching for ways to reach out without making myself too vulnerable. I leave small openings and hope you understand them without me having to say everything directly. I keep testing the connection. And every time you stay calm, every time you do not run after me, every time you respond with peace instead of desperation, something inside me changes. A part of me feels relieved because I am finally seeing the person you always were. The complete version, the authentic version, the person who can love deeply without losing themselves. What if it is already too late? That is the thought I keep returning to. What if you have already chosen yourself? What if the warmth is no longer there because I am the reason it disappeared? I do not know who to ask. I am carrying these thoughts quietly. I do not know where to place them. I only know that losing you slowly and silently was something I never expected. Losing the person I should have valued the most is the reality I am struggling to accept. Type, "I hear you," in the comments, not for them, for yourself. Because somewhere inside, you recognized something. You felt that some truths do not need to be spoken loudly for the heart to understand them. You were not the mistake. You were not the reason everything became difficult. You were someone who offered something real, and they did not know how to fully receive it. Now understand this carefully, because this is the part many people misunderstand. Their actions are not always about playing games. Sometimes they are signs of uncertainty, fear, and the struggle to express emotions honestly. Their attempts to test the connection may not be about controlling you. They may be about trying to understand whether it is safe to be vulnerable again. They are not always testing your love. Sometimes they are trying to understand if they can finally show you theirs. And that is the truth this message wants you to recognize tonight. Someone who truly does not care usually does not spend their time searching for signs. Someone who has completely moved forward does not keep looking for small opportunities to reconnect. Someone who feels nothing does not pay attention to your silence like it carries a message. The universe wants you to hear this clearly. Sometimes the quiet moments reveal the feelings people are still learning how to face. Their tests are fear wearing the mask of distance. And beneath that fear may be feelings they do not know how to handle. The emotions did not simply disappear when they stepped away. What they feel can remain even when they create space. The message they type and erase late at night is not always a lack of care. Sometimes it is a person struggling between what they feel and what they are brave enough to express. And the universe sees every hidden battle, every hesitation, every moment when someone wants to move closer but fear pulls them back. What is meaningful between two people does not disappear because one person becomes afraid. Sometimes it becomes quiet. Sometimes it changes form. Sometimes it waits for a moment when both people are ready to face it honestly. Bring both hands gently to the sides of your face right now. Feel your own warmth. Feel your own presence. Let that remind you of something important. You are not the same person who spent every moment waiting for someone else to choose you. You are not the same person who kept chasing answers from someone who was silent. You have changed. You have become someone stronger, calmer, and more connected to yourself. And that transformation is powerful. The universe sees what has awakened inside you. They can feel the difference too. You were not imagining everything. Your emotions were real. Your experiences were real. The connection you felt had meaning. And now this story is entering a different chapter. A chapter where you are no longer losing yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. Type "I already knew" in the comments because somewhere deep inside you felt that something was changing. A part of you recognized the truth before your mind had the words to explain it. Now the rest of you is finally catching up. Something shifted inside you. Maybe you cannot remember the exact second it happened. Maybe it was one ordinary morning. Maybe it was a quiet night when you were alone with your thoughts. Maybe it was one simple realization that changed everything. The waiting that once felt like love started to feel like exhaustion. The hope that once kept you going started feeling like a weight you were carrying alone. And without making an announcement, without explaining yourself to anyone, something inside you decided enough was enough. You stopped. You used to check your phone before you were even fully awake. You used to let one notification decide the mood of your entire day. You used to replay conversations over and over, searching for the hidden meaning behind every word. You used to analyze every response, every pause, every change in tone. You used to read the same message again and again, hoping to discover something you missed. You used to wait after sending a message, watching the screen and hoping their name would appear. You used to carefully choose your words because you were afraid of looking like you cared too much. You used to wonder what mistake you made. You used to carry the blame for silence that was not yours to carry. You used to make yourself smaller just to make someone else feel comfortable. You used to adjust your entire emotional world around their reactions. You gave so much of yourself and then apologized for needing something in return. But then something changed. You stopped. You stopped checking your phone the moment you opened your eyes. You stopped allowing someone else's silence to control your mornings. You stopped searching through old conversations trying to find where you went wrong. You stopped creating excuses for things that left you confused. You stopped hiding your feelings behind safer words. You stopped silently asking for attention. You stopped reaching for someone who was not reaching back. You stopped leaving every door open until your own peace disappeared. You stopped reducing yourself so someone else could feel bigger. And slowly, you became whole again. Not because someone returned, not because someone finally gave you the explanation you wanted, not because the silence suddenly ended. You became whole because you chose yourself. You chose your peace. You chose your healing. You chose your own identity before your attachment to someone else. And even from a distance, that change can be felt. This is what surprises them the most. You did not disappear. You did not become cold. You simply stopped waiting, and that is more powerful than any test, any distance, or any attempt to understand where you stand. This is what many people call sacred stillness. It is not punishment. It is not revenge. It is not a game designed to make someone chase you. It is the quiet strength that appears when a person realizes they are already complete. It is the energy of someone who no longer needs constant reassurance to know their value. And that confidence creates a different kind of presence. It is something they have not experienced from you before. They begin noticing reminders everywhere, moments that make them pause, memories that return unexpectedly, numbers that appear at meaningful times, repeating patterns that make them reflect on what they have been avoiding. When they think about reaching out and hesitate, it becomes a reminder that honesty requires courage. When they feel the weight of your absence, it becomes a reminder that balance matters. When your name appears in their thoughts during quiet moments, it becomes a reminder that some feelings cannot simply be pushed away. Every song that reminds them of you, every place connected to a memory, every unexpected moment of reflection can feel like life asking them to pay attention. The universe is patient, but it is also persistent. It continues guiding people toward the truths they are ready to face. Timing does not need to be forced. It does not need to be controlled. Some things unfold when people finally become prepared for them. What was meaningful between two people can continue teaching lessons even through distance and silence. This is the mystery of transformation. The moment you stopped reaching for validation was the moment you started becoming more powerful. The moment you stopped needing someone else to complete you was the moment you became more confident. The moment you found yourself again was the moment your entire energy changed. Sacred stillness is not the ending of your story. It is the beginning of a relationship with yourself that no one can take away. And there is nothing more powerful than someone who understands their own worth. Place both hands gently on your knees. Feel the stability beneath your palms. Feel the calm that exists inside you. That strength belongs to you. It was always yours, and that is something no one else can replace. They may search for that feeling in different places, different experiences, and different connections, but the peace you carry is uniquely yours. Type "I am the shift" in the comments, because the biggest change was never outside of you. It was always happening within you.